You're watching Talk to Jazeera, our guest, the President of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai. We were talking before the break about the international effort in Afghanistan. Recently, you vetoed the appointment of Paddy Ashdown as the international UN representative in Afghanistan. He performed a good job, most people say, as the High Representative in Bosnia. He had skills and experience for the job. Why did you veto his appointment? And was it a question of your pride getting in the way of the interests of your people?
I met with Mr. Ashdown in Kuwait a month and a half before he was interviewed by the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon. I found him a capable person, an intelligent person, and a man that one could work with. And then waited for the Secretary General of the UN to meet with him, and that did happen, and then we both of us spoke on telephone. After my telephone conversation with him, the London Times had an article the next day which had lots of things bad about me, about Afghanistan, about the government, which did not matter. But it had one thing which did matter. It gave a very ethnic look to things in Afghanistan and to the government in Afghanistan. Now, our biggest achievement in Afghanistan has been that Afghanistan is once again the home of all the Afghan people. I'm sorry, it didn't work out. It was not because of Mr. Ashdown. It was because of the environment created by a section of the British press that I decided to say no.
You talk about different ethnic groups sitting side by side in Afghanistan, and you've achieved that through compromise and tolerating, to an extent, some of the warlords in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Should you continue to tolerate them? For example, last week, General Dostum accused of kidnapping one of your supporters. Can you let this sort of thing go on in your capital city?
That was a bad incident of the violation of law. No, that shouldn't be tolerated. But having the Afghan people together, having the unity of the country preserved, and paying costs for that personally, as a president of the country, or as an Afghan, I would continue to do that.
Now, clearly one of the biggest problems in Afghanistan is the problem of opium production. The UN figures show that it may have gone down 1 or 2 percentage points, but the general trend seems to be that opium production is continuing to rise. It's risen every single year that you have been president of Afghanistan. Have you been doing enough? Are you doing enough?
We have done enough as the Afghan government, where Afghanistan's government is fully in charge in terms of the delivery of services and the ability of the government to govern well. Narcotics have come down. 14 provinces of Afghanistan that grew narcotics 3 years ago, 4 years ago, don't grow them today, or have brought a serious decline in the growth of poppies there.
Tell me though, you say you are doing all you can, yet your Minister of Counter-Narcotics resigned in July last year. You haven't replaced him. You haven't had a Minister of Counter-Narcotics or a permanent one for 7 months. That's not sending the right signal, is it?
We have. The minister didn't resign. I appointed him as our Consul General in Canada. We have a very capable deputy minister looking after the ministry. I have about 15, 20 days ago appointed him as the minister, and the case has gone to the parliament. So we have a minister, we have a functioning ministry.
And you believe your government is doing enough, that you are managing to crack down on those high-level drug dealers, who clearly some of them have support at high levels in government?
To the extent that the Afghan government has the ability, yes.
Turning back to the security situation for a moment, do you see that the war you are fighting in Afghanistan is the same war that is being fought in Iraq? And how do you think America's involvement in Iraq has helped or hindered you in Afghanistan?
Well, in my opinion, the war we are fighting in Afghanistan is very different from what is going on in Iraq. The Afghan people overwhelmingly support the presence of the international community.
Did the American intervention in Iraq help you or hinder you?
I don't know about that. I don't know if it helped or if it hindered, but things in Afghanistan I don't think are so much affected by Iraq. Things in Afghanistan have to be dealt with in Afghanistan and in the region, and in particular in Pakistan, where now they too in Pakistan unfortunately are facing the same difficulties as we are facing in Afghanistan. So it's a fight for the two countries of Pakistan and Afghanistan to win against extremism and terrorism, and it's a fight for the international community to engage together with us so that the international community and Afghanistan and Pakistan are all safer in the future than they are today or than they were a few years ago.
I've heard you say some very harsh words in the past about Pakistan. You said in the past that Pakistan is helping the Taliban. You've said that they know where Mullah Omar is. Do you still believe that's the situation, or do you think Pakistan is now doing more to help?
Well, we had a very good meeting of the people of Afghanistan and Pakistan some months ago in the summer of 2007. We'd like to continue on that path, in that direction. We have much more productive dialogue between the two countries at various levels, at the levels of the military and political. And then I, like the elections in Pakistan, to produce a government that the people of Pakistan will be happy with. So that from that point onwards we can continue to work with President Musharraf and the government of Pakistan for an effective fight against terrorism that hurts us badly in both countries.
President, we've talked about the security situation, which remains grim. We've talked about opium production, which is still on the rise. You are a very respected figure on the international stage, an iconic figure, may I say, a very fashionable figure on the world stage. But are you still, after 6 and a bit years, the right man to be leading Afghanistan, or should there be a new strong man who can pull the country together?
Well, a strong man means what? If you want me to be a man that pushes people around, if you want me to be a man that will be a bit more prone to use of force, I would never be that man. I came to Kabul all alone from Kandahar when I was appointed as the president. I did not bring any security with myself, because I wanted to bring a sense to this country that whoever is in Kabul as an Afghan, as a fellow countryman, is my security. And I think that was the most important decision that I made, to bring unity to Afghanistan. Of course, 6 years on, I don't expect to be as popular in Afghanistan as I was 6 years ago. People had great expectations. I had great expectations. And people get tired of governments and leaders. My job is not to continue forever. My job is to obey the Afghan constitution, 1. 2, my job also is to prepare this country for new leadership. Now, if I can bring to Afghanistan an environment where there are multiplicity of leaders from which the Afghan people can choose, I will be leaving behind a legacy for Afghanistan, and that is what I like to do.
President Karzai, I've spoken to some of the people high up in your government about the current situation in Afghanistan. One very senior figure, someone you know very well, but they spoke to me off the record, so I can't tell you who, told me this. In 2002 and 2003, President Karzai had the whole country around him, but he slowly lost the trust and consensus of the people. Even those around him now do not support him anymore. The only ones who really support him are the most corrupt officials.
Oh, now this person who's so close to me, and if he says that to you in private and not to me, is himself a problem. So if someone is so close to me and doesn't come to tell me this, first of all, it shows that perhaps he or she is not so close to me, and secondly that that it's a flaw of character, indeed.
Do you want to go on doing this job? I mean, are you going to stand to be president next year in the next election?
Now let me answer this question. As far as my wishes are concerned, I would recite to you this wonderful poem by Frost, which I keep saying all the time. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
Can you give the Afghan people some idea of your intentions? Will you be a candidate for president next year?
It's too early for me to speak of precisely of my candidacy or not. We'll wait for some time, and when the time is right, I will get in touch with the Afghan people in a very extensive way, ask their opinions, and if they feel that I should continue, and if I think I can continue, I will. Otherwise, the country will have a new leader, and that I will push forward.
President Karzai, one thing that people watching may not know about you is that last year, just over a year ago, you became a father for the first time.
Yes.
Can I finally ask you what sort of future you think there will be in Afghanistan for young Mirwais and for his generation? What sort of Afghanistan do you see? Is it going to continue to be a country marked by death and destruction?
Definitely not. I was asked this question many, many years ago in the United States by a friend of mine. He said, Hamid, why don't you come to the United States like so many other Afghans and live in the US? Why are you exposing yourself to dangers? This is the Taliban time. I said, because I love to have a good life. I love to have good roads. I love to have a Porsche. I love to have a Jaguar or a Mustang. But in my own country, in Afghanistan, I love all your roads in America and UK and Europe. But I love those roads in Afghanistan. And I love those vehicles in Afghanistan. And I want to have a good life in Afghanistan. And that is the good life I'm wishing for my son and the children his age in Afghanistan.
President Karzai, thank you very much for joining us. The President of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, talking to Jazeera.